So what do you think? Can one word really make a difference in your life? Do you think it can change you? Well, I do think it can. And a couple years ago, I just kept hearing from friends and people in my community how choosing a word of the year had really made a big difference or made a big impact in their life. Like one word, progress, was the word chosen by Lauren from Self-Care Plans a couple years ago. And I liked how she shared with me how it had really helped her get over her perfectionist tendencies. Using her word just really encouraged her to move forward and not allow her perfectionism to prevent her from making forward progress. So progress was a great word for her. And then another story I remember that I love to tell was Kim, a good friend of mine from the Hygge gathering. She had chosen the word margin a couple years ago, and I think she may have even used it for more than 1 year. So Kim had shared that over time she had begun to think a lot more carefully about what she agreed to do in her life and not to jam-pack her schedule full of obligations or even fun things. She wanted enough margin in her life to be able to have time to chat if she ran into a friend while she was out. And she wanted, time to be able to explore places before or after she would go to an event that she had decided to attend. So she would start showing up early enough to give herself that margin of extra time to explore. So really increasing the margin in her life gave her more time to relax and enjoy life and not always be in such a hurry as so many of us are inclined to be in these days. So hearing so many stories about how a single word can really make a difference, it inspired me to begin choosing my own word of the year as well. So choosing a word of the year, it's really all about choosing who you want to become that year. And I really think it can be a powerful tool for self-transformation, and choosing your word, just the choice of it even in itself can be a really insightful process. So today I will share with you my word for 2025 and the process that I used to decide upon the word that would best help me, stretch myself or even chill out in my own personal growth journey. I think the steps that I'll share here are really worth including in your own word of the year choice process. So if you've already chosen a word, maybe it'll be great for next year. Anyway, before I begin, I also want to invite you to join me for a little workshop that I've put together on the things that you can do to use your word to allow it to make the biggest impact for you in the coming year, and to make sure that you actually use it and don't forget about it. So all the information about this little event is down in the description with a link where you can RSVP there. Okay, so let's dive in. I mentioned that choosing a word of the year is all about choosing who you are going to become. So you're really making a declaration of how you are going to change and who you are going to grow into over the course of the next year. So you really want to allow yourself some time to, reflect on where you are today and on where you want to be in the future, and also the person that you'll really need to become that will help you to get there. So if you think about it, success in almost any endeavor that you undertake is more about who you need to become rather than it is, following a step-by-step specific set of method or steps to get from point A to point B. So the question you need to ask yourself is, who do you need to become for your life to look differently in the way that you want it to than it does today? So the first thing that I like to do is to create a word bank, so to speak. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy. Here's, I just took a piece of scratch paper and started jotting down words that I thought might be possibilities for myself. I started like at the end of the year, and just when I would start thinking about it, any words that would come to mind, I would just go ahead and add them to my little word bank. The other thing though is I really like to also set aside some dedicated time for thinking about what I want my word to be for the coming year too. I really want to be very reflective and introspective about what my word choice is, because it's a word that you're going to use as a reminder all year long. And for that matter, I like to take a little time to, noodle on the word choice. So anyway, I have a series of journal prompts that I like to use, and I will go ahead and share those with you now. The first one is, how do I want to feel at this time next year? The next one is, how am I feeling called to grow? And what characteristic or way of being would make me feel more comfortable in my skin? Then where do I feel discomfort in my life, and what would I need to do differently to shift out of this, or how would I need to show up differently in my life in order to alleviate the discomfort? And then I try to focus on a goal or dream that I have for the coming year. And if I were to feel like I had made really huge strides towards this goal or dream, I think about what has to happen for me to get there, and who is the person that I need to become in order to make that happen. So what words would best describe the me that really is able to accomplish this goal? And then I like to just really reflect on what really went well in the past year. What did I learn? And is there anywhere that I feel compelled to learn or improve more? Oh, and then the other one that I added in here, it's just not on this paper that I had used and printed out, is also what scares me. I think that can be a really powerful one as well. And so I actually have kind of like a little word of the year PDF that goes through all of these exercises and journal prompts that I'll share in the description too, and give you access to that. Another journal exercise that I like to do, and this doesn't have to be in a journal, but you can just do it on a sheet of paper. But I like to write more on one side of the paper, maybe like make a line, and then write less on the other side of the paper. And then on the more side, just start the things that come to my mind of what I'd like more of in my life in the coming year. And then on the less side, write down all the things that I think about where I want to have less of that in the coming year. So I did that, and then I kind of was able to even kind of like group them together, like all the things that I had on the more side, kind of like, if I was to try and summarize that, if you will, I came up with simplicity, more time for personal pursuits, and strong health. So that's just an example. So it kind of got me a little closer to what I was thinking I really wanted to zero in on in the coming year. So after all of this, I usually am beginning to get kind of a good sense of direction and where I'm leaning towards with respect to what word that I'll choose for the year. So then what I like to do is to look through a list of words and just see what words jump out at me that maybe I feel drawn to, or that I just feel like considering might be good for a word for me. And so then I add those to my little word bank, and I do that for a few lists, and I have lists in that little PDF that I told you about that you can look at as well. So then at that point, what I do is I look at my word bank, and I just try to quickly pick out the one that I feel most drawn to. Now, your word that you do pick out, it it should elicit some kind of feelings or emotions. Maybe you feel excitement about it. Maybe it brings you a feeling of hope or calm. But if you don't feel anything towards the word, it's probably not a good choice of a word for you, because if that's the case, you'll probably just forget about it in the coming weeks, as you just really aren't very excited about the possibilities of the changes that that word could promise or bring. So you do want, you want it to feel a little exciting when you choose it. So anyway, at the beginning of the video, I did share with you, or I did tell you that I would share with you my word of the year. And I actually ended up choosing a word that I stumbled across and put in my word bank pretty early on. My mother and my sisters had put together a comfort basket for me after I got out of the hospital and from having colon cancer surgery. And one of the little things little gifts that they put in this comfort basket was this little gift the little book of fika. And in that book, just a few pages in, it talks about the Swedish concept of legom. And I'll just read that to you here really quick. It says, legom is a uniquely Swedish word that does not have a precise English translation. It's directly translated as around the team, a term that dates back to the Viking era when mead was passed from person to person, each sipping only their share and not more, to ensure there was enough for all. It reflected contentment, and there was just the right amount for everyone. Nowadays, legom reflects the concept of not too much, not too little, just enough. A concept of moderation, simplicity, and contentment that has seeped into the Swedish psyche and culture over the ages. So when I was thinking about it, this can apply to so many areas of life. How we eat, what we purchase and bring into our homes, and just everything in terms of what we do. So I think it's going to be the perfect word of focus for me in the coming year, and I'm excited about using it. So I would love to hear if you have chosen a word of the year, and if so, what your word of the year is. And I'd really love for you to join me as well in my word of the year workshop, as I do have quite a few ways to share with you about how you can use your word and throughout the course of the year, and make sure that it just doesn't become another New Year's intention that falls by the wayside in a couple of months. So I want to thank you so much for watching and sharing this time with me here today. And if you have a friend that you think might find this video helpful too, hope that you will share it with them as well. And just to tell you that I really appreciate you being here. And also bring your friends to the online workshop too. That would be great. It'll be held via a Zoom call, and it seems to be a lot of fun to do it that way. So I hope I get to connect with you there. So that's all for today. I hope you have a great week ahead of you. And once again, thanks for being here.